listening to an audio article by the Common Constitutionalist. Today's article is entitled, "A Common Language is Handy When Learning How to Skydive." Say you and your family decide to take a vacation, but instead of the normal touristy destinations, you place your brain in a box and go to Russia or Pakistan or some other place that isn't Americanized, or at least not necessarily accommodating of Americans. You arrive and right off of the bat, you realize this is a mistake. You know where you need to get to, but no one speaks English and none of the signage is recognizable. Then, as luck would have it, something happens, some sort of disaster, an earthquake or something. And there you are, with your family in tow, all looking at you for guidance. People are running hither and yon. Police are yelling out instructions, but you can't understand a word. Pardon the vernacular, but you're pretty much screwed. Now imagine something very similar here in the United States. One day, you decide that you would like to go skydiving. Maybe it's one of those bucket list items. You've imagined how fun it might be. So you go to the nearest jump school and attempt to sign up. But there's a problem. All the instructions and signage are in English only. And did I forget to mention that you can only speak and read Spanish or German or Russian or something? That, as one can imagine, will be a big problem and an even bigger safety concern. Your plan is to jump out of an airplane without understanding a word of instruction during ground school. And if something goes wrong while you're up there, and your instructor who is strapped to your back can't communicate with you, the result is likely that you're both dead. In other words, you have to be an idiot to attend a skydiving school if you don't speak or read the same language as the instructors, and the school would have to be equally stupid to allow it. Most would agree, unless you are a leftist who thinks that every business, at least in Texas, should cater to the strictly Spanish-speaking, and that there is something nefarious and, of course, racist if a business doesn't. The Dallas Skydive Lodge recently found this out as an Irving, Texas resident, Angelica Escobedo, shared a screenshot of the skydiving school's requirements. But as is usual when leftists are involved, the liberal media highlighted and concentrated on only one paragraph. It reads, quote, "If you are here in this country illegally, please go home and skydive in your own country. We don't want any money you obtained in the U.S. illegally." Unquote. Oh, the horror of a private business being allowed to make their own rules. What most of the press who reported on this neglected to add is that that paragraph is only one of 6. The others are things like you must be 18 or older, you must have a proper picture ID, and that you, quote, must be able to read, write, and speak fluent English, unquote. And why? It's because they just hate Mexicans, right? No, that's not the reason. The reason, as they further explain, is, quote, so you can understand and fill out legal paperwork and we can communicate, unquote. They also insist you not be a fatty fat fatso. Quote, you must weigh 220 pounds or less, and yes, we weigh you, unquote. Is this also discriminating against the corpulent? Yes it is, because it must be, for safety reasons. The owner of the Dallas Skydive Lodge, Hank Schrader, explained that, quote, the requirement for reading and speaking English is for safety when providing skydiving instructions, unquote. He also added that, quote, there is no racial profiling on my website or any place else. This has nothing to do with what country you came from or what race you are. I don't care if you come from the Netherlands. If you're here illegally, then you should go home, unquote. But to ignorant leftists, this fell on deaf ears as they took to social media to condemn Hank and his school. One reviewer wrote, quote, if I could give 0 stars, I would. Please don't give money to racists, unquote. And I agree with the reviewer. If you feel that strongly, by all means, don't patronize Hank's facility. It's called the marketplace at work. As long as the government doesn't get involved in this matter, Hank can display anything he likes and let the chips fall where they may. And I, for one, am glad he didn't cave to these liberal weenies. In closing, I thought I would check with my son, who recently did his first tandem jump. I asked him what the odds of him having a successful jump if everything said and written was in Russian. He confirmed what I already knew. He said it would have been 0%. Thank you for listening.